Hello, I'm Bier, the music director of the Reading Choral Society, and welcome to the first of our 3 Summer Sings of 2020. We've been doing Summer Sings for some years now. We find it a really nice way to do a very mini, compact choral festival on the 3rd Saturday each month over the summer, to give people who might not have time to join a choir or who are missing their usual academic year choirs over the summer a chance to get together and sing. But we've also seen this as a great opportunity to involve guest directors, to bring in choral conductors and technicians with different approaches and different mindsets towards the music, and expose ourselves to these different musics and different approaches. Because of the pandemic, this summer we are making all of our summer sings as short videos and making them available for free online. So I'm so glad that you're tuning in, and we hope you enjoy. Our 3 summer sings this summer will be 3 different approaches. I'll mention a little bit of what's coming up at the end of this video. But I hope that you check all 3 of them out. If one of them isn't quite your cup of tea, maybe another one would be a different approach that you would enjoy. Today's is about Bach. And today's involves the option to sing along a little bit. Our guest director is going to spend a bit of time going over the language and notes of 2 of the chorales in the first cantata of Bach's Christmas Oratorio. Christmas in June, I know, but stay tuned to find out a little bit more of why it isn't just a Christmas cantata. I am so pleased to feature a neighboring choir of ours, Choral Arts Philadelphia, and their accompanying orchestra, the Philadelphia Bach Collegium. They have been so kind to make available to us performances from a couple of years ago of the Christmas Oratorio portion that we are going to be looking at, and the video will end with that. So even if you're not planning to sing along, be sure you at very least skip ahead and give a listen to their wonderful performance. I have a number of colleagues who I count as close friends and as role models for my own singing and playing in both the orchestra and in the choir. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you their director, our guest for this June 2020 Summer Sing, Matt Glandorf. Take it away.
Hello, my name is Matt Glandorf, and I am the Artistic Director of Choral Arts Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Bach Festival. So, as you might have guessed, Bach is in fact a very big part of what I do with my chorus. And part of the reason for that is that there are about roughly 200 extant cantatas that we have, and I figured it'll take a good lifetime to get through most of those, if not all of them. So that's been a big part of my life and career, and I want to share with you one of my particular favorites. And that actually is the first. I'm going to talk about the first cantata from the Christmas Oratorio. So a lot of already confusing things. Is it an oratorio? Is it a cantata? Cantatas tend not to have a narrative, but the way Bach did this is that he intended for the 6 portions of the Christmas Oratorio to be performed for the 6 major feasts of the 12 days of Christmas. So you have first day of Christmas, second day of Christmas, then you have New Year's Eve, second Sunday of Christmas. There's one more, and then the final one is the Feast of the Epiphany. So there you have the 6 portions. The first one is the difference between, I suppose, a cantata and an oratorio is that an oratorio has an actual narrative. And this, Bach uses just the scriptures right from the Christmas narrative. And the first cantata is from the 2nd chapter of Luke and announces the birth of Jesus. And you'll hear various snippets from a live performance that I did a few years ago on New Year's Eve. And what I wanted to do was invite you to participate as best as you can from home in 2 of the chorales. And So in a cantata or an oratorio, typically you have choruses, you have chorales that comment on the action or take a moment out to contemplate what's going on in the story. You have recitative, or the narrative, and then you have arias. And the same thing with the arias, that they're kind of a commentary, a kind of a pause for us to think about what's going on in the moment. So when did Bach write the Christmas Oratorio? His first performance was over the Christmas season of 1733 to 1734. By this point, Bach had already written the great majority of his cantatas, which we now know. We thought that he wrote them over his entire time in Leipzig. Turns out, in the first, say, 3 or 4 years, he wrote at a fevered, frenzied pitch and created this unbelievable wealth of repertoire. And then in 1733, 1734, he then also wrote the Easter Oratorio, the Christmas Oratorio, and the Ascension Oratorios. So we have these wonderful works. Bach is at the height of his powers and his creativity, and we have this wonderful, wonderful collection. If you perform the entire oratorio in one go, it takes about 3 hours. But the way it was intended was that each cantata, which is about 20 minutes long, would have been distributed over those 6 services. So a more authentic way to hear the piece would actually be to perform them on the actual days that they were intended. You'll hear in the opening movement, when we get to it, an extraordinary way that Bach begins. Jauchzet frohlocket, rejoice and shout for joy, right? Basically, yippee, right? And he starts off with just the timpani. And then you hear the flutes. And then a huge cascade of violins coming down. It's very, very interesting to see certain composers, how difficult it is to write really joyful music. And I think that this is one of Bach's greatest accomplishments as a composer, is that he's able to express sheer, unlimited, exuberant joy. Anyway, so let's take a moment to now rehearse the first chorale, and you will have the score with you there. I'll play it through once, so you get to hear this. And then that music repeats. So, let's take it apart. Let's just go over the soprano and the bass line. So here's the first phrase, the first 2 bits of the phrase. Okay? So, let's now have the soprano and the alto line. Here's your starting pitch. 1, 2, 3. Got that? Good. Let's have tenors and basses now. So our tenor, here's your G sharp, bass, here's your E. 1, 2, 3. Tenors, make sure you get that leaped up to the F. Good. Let's try putting it all together. All right, all 4 voice parts. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay, so now let's go on to the next bit. Again, let's start with sopranos and altos first. Here's the A, here's the C. 1, 2, 3. Noticing in the very last phrase, altos, you're above the sopranos there on that G, sopranos on the E. But I'm sure you figured that out. Clever as I'm sure you are. So, good, let's go over the bass and the tenor line. This is after the double bar. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So let's put that all together. After the double bar, all four voices, please. A, E, A, C. 1, 2, 3. And you can rewind and go back over those parts at your leisure. That's part of what actually makes this fun. So let's talk about the words. First of all, let me give you the translation, and then we'll go through the German step by step. So, the German, wie soll ich dich empfangen? How shall I receive you? Und wie begegne ich dir? And how shall I meet you? O aller Welt verlangen, O longing of the whole world, O meiner Seelen Zier, O adornment of my soul. O Jesu, Jesu setze, Jesus, place mir selbst die Fackel bei, put your lamp inside of me. Damit, was dich ergötze, so that which gives you delight, mir kund und wissend sei, I may know and understand. So here we go with the German. So I-E in German is E. So I will say it once and then repeat after me. I'll say it and I'll say it twice. Wie soll ich dich empfangen? Und wie begegne ich dir? And again. Wie soll ich dich empfangen? Und wie begegne ich dir? You have to sort of get that G in the end together on the begegnen. All right, next bit. O aller Welt verlangen, o meiner Seele Zier. So in the German, I like to talk about sort of that good closed Minnesota O, okay? O aller Welt verlangen, o meiner Seele Zier. Good, then the next bit after the double bar. Now you notice there's a comma after the first Jesu. O Jesu, Jesu, setze mir selbst die Fackel bei. Let's do that one together. O Jesu, Jesu, setze mir selbst die Fackel bei. Notice there's no comma there, so you just keep going. Then the last bit. Damit, was dich ergötze, mir kund und wissend sei. So the S at the beginning of a word is like a Z. And the O with the umlaut. O, somewhere between E and U. So ergötze. Like you're going to kiss somebody. Ergötze. Let's say it together. Damit, was dich ergötze, mir kund und wissend sei. Good. All right, so you can take that little segment of the rehearsal and do it at your own pace. Go back and rewind if you want to go back over something. And then please, when we have the little performance at the end from the live concert, please do join in with the singing. Now, some of you may have been wondering, that chorale might sound familiar. Isn't that normally associated with Friday? O head now sorely wounded, or O sacred head now wounded. There are various translations of that. And you're thinking, wait, why is there a piece that is associated with Good Friday in the middle of a Christmas piece? That doesn't seem to make any sense, except that this is where Bach is a very, very clever theologian, and he's actually expressing something from Lutheran theology here, and that has to do with the fact that on the flip side of the birth is that this is all in preparation for the crucifixion and then ultimately for the resurrection. So what Bach is signaling to his congregation, oh, how shall I receive you? How shall I encounter you? When it obviously referring to the Christ child, the idea is that the death part, the crucifixion, cradle to cross, is always seen through the same lens as one being birth, death, all being essentially of the same part. And this is really, I think, where Bach excels, is that he doesn't just write some pretty music with some nice arias and some great choruses, but he's actually got a very, very deep and thoughtful message that goes through the entire thing. Now, very much the kingship of God is very much in play here. And you'll notice in the beautiful, fantastic aria for trumpet and baritone, Großer Herr und starker König, great king and strong Lord, actually the other way around. So this aria sets up for who this Jesus is in the story. And then finally, we end with the chorale number 9. Again, if you will now refer to your score. Now this one is in fact a Christmas hymn by Martin Luther, Vom Himmel hoch, da komm ich her. Now interesting again, we've got this interesting juxtaposition of the text juxtaposed with the way Bach sets it. Now we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just go over your parts first. Okay? So let's begin with soprano and alto. Here's your A and your D. It's 1, 2, 3. Let's do the tenor and the bass. Here's your D. Here's your F sharp. 2, 3. Got that? Let's put it together. 1, 2, 3. Now, I think your score, you can't see what happens in the empty bars, and I'm going to save that for a minute. So let's go on to the next bit of music. So this is, let's reverse it. Let's start with tenors and basses first. How about that? Here's your D and here's your A. So you basically take up the notes that you left. 1 and 1. Good. Let's do the soprano and alto. Here's your F sharp and your D. And 1. Okay. Next phrase. Soprano and alto again. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. 2, 3. Bass and tenor. Here's D, and here's A. 2, 3. Okay, tenors, he really puts you through your paces there. Let's put it all together. 2, 3. Okay, and then the final phrase. Here we go. Let's start with, again, soprano and alto. F sharp and D. And 1. Same thing. And 1. Excellent. Now here we go. Bass and tenor. And 1. So, a little bit tricky. I had to actually play over my own hands there. You notice the tenor again goes below the bass. Bach likes to do this frequently, and I'm sure much to the annoyance of his singers. Here we try that again, basses and altos. Basses and tenors. And 1. Put that all together. Here we go. B, D, F sharp, D. And 1. Great. Okay, so now here's the text. Ach, mein Herz, liebes Jesulein. Say that again. Ach, mein Herz, liebes Jesulein. Mach dir ein rein sanft Bettlein. Again, let's repeat that. Mach dir ein rein sanft Bettlein. Next phrase. Zu ruhen in meines Herzens Schrein. Let's say that again. Zu ruhen in meines Herzens Schrein. And then the last phrase, dass ich nimmer vergesse dein. Again, dass ich nimmer vergesse dein. And again, with the wonders of modern technology, you can go back and replay that until you feel comfortable with both the notes and with the text. So what does this mean? Ah, little Jesus dear to my heart. Mach dir ein rein sanft Bettlein. Make for yourself a clean, soft bed. Zu ruhen in meines Herzens Schrein. To rest in the shrine of my heart. Dass ich nimmer vergesse dein. So that I shall never forget you. This essential thing is about the establishment of the kingship of God, but it's interesting that it's in this weakness. It's in the form of a little baby in a small little bed enshrined in my own heart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save until you get to the actual live performance to sing along, to hear what Bach does in the interludes. Now think about, you have this wonderful tender little image of the image of this tender baby that you're singing about, but then what happens in the orchestra is quite remarkable. Let's just go over this chorale one more time from the top. Ach, mein Herz, liebes Jesulein. Here's the chord. 1, 2, 3. Another bar's rest. Here's your next bit on bar 4. And 1. Next phrase. 1, 2, 3. And then the last phrase. Here's your chord. And 1. So there you have it. I hope that this was helpful, and obviously it would be better if we were all in person being able to put this together. But this is at least some hope that we will eventually meet. I encourage you to get to know the whole Christmas oratorio. Of all of Bach's major choral works, the St. Matthew Passion, the St. John, the Magnificat, the B minor Mass, this work tends to be performed less frequently. Part of it has to do with the fact that it is difficult to assemble all of the various instruments that you need because, remember, they were never meant to be performed in the same evening, but they were meant to be performed over over 6 services over the 12 days of Christmas. So Bach's orchestration for each one is very different. Cantatas 1, 3, and 6 have 3 trumpets, timpani, 2 flutes, 2 oboes, bassoon. But then the flutes suddenly disappear after the third oratorio, and then I guess they go on Christmas vacation. And then the second one has 4 oboe staccato, which is basically kind of like alto and tenor oboes. Try to find 4 oboes around Christmas time, but there you have it. Then cantata number 4 has 2 French horns, and this is the only time that the horns make any kind of an appearance, and then I guess they go off to the pub after that and never to be seen again. So you see that the color scheme of the way Bach organizes this is very interesting. So I urge you to get to know this wonderful piece and maybe even listen to like maybe 1 cantata a day, or over the 12 days of Christmas, listen to the appropriate one for the day. One of the things that I think that we can learn from Bach too is to think and become seasonal. And seasonal thinking is something, of course, that we're learning in cooking again, is that we're thinking about what vegetables or what foods do we have in the spring versus the summer versus the winter time. And I think Bach has an incredible way of helping us organize our thought lives and our artistic and spiritual lives too. So I hope that this little instructional video gives you something to think about, and I look forward to joining with you in the live segment of the performance. Thank you, and I hope to see you sometime in person.
Wasn't that a fantastic performance? Thank you so much to Matt, our guest director and the conductor of that performance, and to his musicians, the soloists, the chorus, the orchestra, and to some other folks, Sharon Torello, for videoing that so that we had the materials available. The organizations themselves, Choral Arts Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Bach Collegium, for allowing us to use those materials. And also, thank you to the board and the funders of the Reading Choral Society for allowing us to go ahead with these summer sings and do something online. And thank you for tuning in. We're all getting a lot of fatigue with screen time and with trying to connect with each other in new ways. But it is music that is one of the great things that connects us, brings us together, gives us that shared emotional experience, and we're not going to let a pandemic stop us from attempting to reach out in those ways. Speaking of which, there will be 2 more summer sings happening in this video format, the 3rd Sunday of July and of August. Our July summer sing director is David Simmons. He's based in the Washington, D.C. area, and he is going to do a presentation looking at a survey of some really fantastic composers in American history, all of whom happen to be women. And for our 3rd summer sing, the Philadelphia area composer John Conahan is actually writing us a little piece to work on as a premiere. You are absolutely welcome to take part in both of those summer sings, including the August sing, even if you don't have any interest or have the technology to take part in what I think is perhaps the most exciting part. John is hoping to put together, through the summer sing workshop, a little virtual choir premiere of this piece he is writing for us. So we're so excited that he's doing that, and we're so excited to work with David Simmons in July. I hope we will see you back for those. Keep your eyes peeled on our channel for the links, or on our Facebook page and website for the upcoming announcements about those. But for now, all of us, of course, hope that you are safe and well as can be given the circumstances all around, and we hope we will see you in person before too much longer. But until then, stay safe, best wishes, and we hope you'll do your best, as we are, to keep singing.